Folks, I wonder what the courts will say. I'll explain what I mean and then get into the latest home prices and insights for condos across the GTA for week ending October 22nd, 2025. If you want to speak directly with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. There are a ton of condo buyers that purchase pre-construction that are closing this year, closing next year, and many of them want to sell their purchase agreement before closing. They do not want to close. Many can no longer close. The market has changed such that they're not going to get financing. I've spoken to many of these condo pre-construction buyers that have called me up and say, Santo, I want to sell my purchase agreement. I want to sell on assignment. When we review their purchase agreement with their real estate lawyer, it's pretty clear they are not allowed to advertise on MLS. And so basically, they are allowed to sell on assignment. There's certain fees involved. But basically, when you read the fine print, it's saying that they kind of got to know a buyer. They can't advertise it out to the public. And the MLS is the lion's share of the buyers. That's where they're looking for properties. But you're not allowed to advertise your agreement, your purchase agreement on MLS. So they will speak with the builder, or their lawyer, the buyer's lawyer, will speak with the builder's lawyer and say, please, our client is going to have a problem closing. They want to sell this on assignment. They want to advertise it on MLS. They want to mass advertise it. Please, will you allow this? Almost every time, I don't know one time where the builder said, sure, go ahead. But there may be cases I'm not aware of. So that's why I say almost every time the builder says no. Now, I get the builder's perspective. First of all, there's an agreement that's been signed and accepted by both parties. And now one party is asking to change that agreement. So I get the fact that, what's been agreed to has been agreed to. There's contract law for that. But I get the other perspective that the builder has, where imagine anybody who wanted to sell an assignment could just put it on MLS. You would see hundreds of units go up for sale in a building, even people that were trying their luck to see what they can get for their unit. So there'd be a ton of units for sale, and the builder doesn't want their project having that kind of reputation. And on top of that, prices today, these assignments are being sold at a loss. So there's people in that building that are going to close, say, at $1 million purchase, but the most recent sales are $700,000 and $800,000. It's not a good look for the building. So the builder just doesn't want that. And they'll say, yes, you can sell an assignment. We'll accept you transferring that purchase agreement to a different buyer, but we don't want it. We don't want anyone else to know. You've got to know somebody basically who wants to buy this. So this is the problem that is just kind of like a snowball. It's just growing. And inevitably there's going to be, and there have been, but there's going to be a bunch of these buyers that could not sell on assignment, attempted to, but could not. And they're going to get sued by the builder because they can't close. Closing day is going to come and go, and the builder's going to sue them. And at some point, it's going to be in the court system. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if there's any precedents of this. I don't know of any. Doesn't mean they're not there. But I'm thinking about it from the court's perspective. Here's this buyer, and they basically explain to the courts and say, listen, because of the way the market changed, circumstances I wasn't aware of, I couldn't control, I'm no longer in a position to actually close on this. I want to, but I can't. I just can't get the financing. So I asked the builder if I could advertise it to where the most amount of people would see me, this assignment sale that I wanted to advertise, which is on the MLS. I was even prepared to sell it at a loss. I was prepared to lose all my deposit. I was prepared to take whatever money somebody would give me just so I could honor the contract and not default. But the builder said no. The builder denied me access to the biggest market, which is the MLS system. This is what the buyer is going to tell the judge. I'm prepared to sell it at a loss, just if the builder would only have allowed me to put it on MLS. And then the buyer is probably going to add, furthermore, the builder has condos that they didn't sell when they did their launch, and they've put some of them on the MLS system. So the builder is putting their own properties, but would not allow me to put my properties on the MLS. This is the question I'm throwing out to everybody who's watching right now. As more and more of these start to happen and more of these appear in the courts, I wonder what a judge is going to say. Now, I'm bringing this up because I've been involved in other situations where, we've sold the property and there's a closing date, and the buyer, a day or two or even on closing date, says, I need a few more days. I need 5 more days to close. Now, according to the agreement that we've got in place, the purchase agreement, the buyer is in breach. And the seller could say, no, you're in breach, you're losing your deposit, and I'm going to sue you. That's what the seller can say. But each time we get legal advice on this, the lawyer says, well, technically correct, they're in breach if they don't close. However, before the closing, they are asking for an extension. And if you don't give it, the courts may see that as the seller being unreasonable. You can charge fees for that. There could be costs associated with that extension. But to deny the 5-day extension would seem unreasonable on the seller side. This is the legal advice we get. So we grant the extension because we kind of have to. It's the same theory I'm applying this situation, where condo buyer wants to sell an assignment. The only reasonable chance of success would be to put it on MLS, and the builder says no. Even though it's written in the agreement, the builder says no, we're sticking to the agreement. If you were the judge, how would you rule on this? And let's not go, too much, big bad builder. No, the builder has their point, and the buyer is asking for a change in the agreement. Is the builder being unreasonable by not allowing the property to be advertised on MLS? Let me know what your thoughts are. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. And if you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to be focused on condo apartments, not condo townhouses. And we're going to break down the data for the City of Toronto, condos in York region, and condos in Peel region. These are average sold prices for 3 months. Since the fall market started, September, average prices overall in each of these areas has come down. We're going to start off with the City of Toronto. For week ending October 22nd, 170 condo apartments were sold. 17 of those sold at $1 million or more. Now, 170 seems kind of normal of what we've been selling. Maybe a little bit on the low side, but not by much, of what we've been selling over the fall period, which is a bit more than what we've been averaging out in the August market just before the fall period. I put a star here for the previous week. It's easy to say that sales jumped up from the previous week, which they have, but keep in mind the previous week, that was Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving weekend was part of that previous week. And although, still the same market, we tend to see fewer sales, fewer activity during long weekends. So just keep that in mind. 150 is a drop from the previous week before that, but the current week is higher. It could be because of Thanksgiving weekend. Okay, so enough about that. Average sold price is 663,000. And when you kind of look at a whole year, well, when we go to January, February, March, we can see average sold prices where there's quite a few weeks, mostly over 7. So it's easy to say that average sold price was high 600 to a little bit over or to low 700,000. We're now at 663. It's pretty clear average sold prices have come down since the beginning of the year. But if you kind of just look at the fall market, average sold price hasn't changed that much. Compared to last year, 663 over the span of a year. This week versus the same week a year ago, average sold price is down by 7%. The median price of 593 is down by 5%. The dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average. And again, since September, the fall market, it's been pretty flat. Average price and median price haven't moved that much. 170 were sold, 32 of those, so 19% sold at list price or more. We're seeing fewer listings. There are almost 5,500 available condos for sale. I'm going to go back. We sold 170, but there's almost 5,500 available for sale. So what we're saying is that 3.1% of all available condos actually sold. It's not a lot. Months of inventory, to me it looks like months of inventory may be trending down. We're sitting right now at 7.5 months of inventory. If this chart went further back, we'd see many weeks in the high 9s or 10. On this chart that goes back 3 months, we're seeing 9, 8s, and now more 7s. It looks like months of inventory is starting to come down a bit. So here's the city broken down into 9 different sections. And we're saying that the whole city is at 7.5 months of inventory. It's the city of Toronto. A couple of areas stand out. Scarborough is at 5.4 months of inventory. So it's outperforming the whole city. And High Park, 5.8 months of inventory. So 5.8, 5.4. And then we look at the Yonge Street corridor. We got Uptown at 6.2 months of inventory, Midtown at 6.7 months of inventory, Downtown at 9.7 months of inventory. So the whole condo market, you will experience it differently in the different parts of the city. And then you'll start to experience it even more differently when you deal with the individual buildings. So just when I say the city's at 7.5, look, there's going to be some areas, some buildings, maybe it's a 10 or 12 months of inventory, and others might be 3 or 4 months of inventory. You kind of got to understand and gauge it, all of them on their own merits. Let's look at 1-bedroom condo apartments, and then we'll look at 2-bedroom condo apartments. So for the 1-bedroom, for week ending October 22nd, 74 1-bedroom condo apartments sold. Months of inventory is 7.2 months of inventory. Average sold price is $531,000. And since spring, average price has been trending down, not aggressively, not by a lot, but it's clear average price has been trending down. Compared to last year, 531 is 10% lower. Here's 2-bedroom apartments. And I should also say the 1-bedroom that we just saw and now the 2 bedrooms, they each respectively include the 1-bedroom plus den, and the 2-bedroom plus den is all included in these numbers. 84 2-bedroom apartments sold, months of inventory sitting at 7, average sold price is $770,000. And although prices have been up and down overall since spring, average price has also overall been trending down. Compared to last year, $770,000 is 4% lower. And here's a chart that has both the 1-bedroom and the 2-bedroom. 1-bedroom in orange, 2-bedroom in blue. Sales, they're about the same when you compare the 1-bedroom to the 2-bedroom. I'm talking volume now. They're about the same. 7.2 months of inventory for 1-bedroom. 7 months of inventory for the 2-bedroom. Also about the same. Average sold price, very different. There's a $239,000 difference in average sold price. Let's look at cost per square foot based on sales data. So when we look at the square foot ranges, the way they're advertised on MLS, the 3 biggest selling square foot ranges is between 600 to 900 basically square feet. And we're looking at 31, 24, 21 sales. So these 3 areas, 600 to 699, 7 to 799, 800 to 899, is the vast majority of all condo sales. The average sold price is ranging from $554,000 to $638,000. But the cost per square foot for these most popular sales range from $700 to $900 per square foot. That's based on sold data. It's not $1,000 a square foot like a lot of people paid. Well, actually, I'm sure there's a lot of people right now wish they paid 1,000 square foot because they bought pre-construction at $1,200, $1,300, $1,500 a square foot. So the most average prices are selling at between $700 to $900 per square feet right now. Here's York Region condos for week ending October 22nd. We had a jump in sales. 40 condos were sold in York Region. Average sold price is $600,000. Average sold price is headed down aggressively, actually. I shouldn't say that. It's not aggressive. It's just the way the chart and the data shows, but prices have been coming down. Compared to last year, $600,000 is 13% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of $588 is 18% lower. The dotted line, the 4-week moving average, also shows average price, especially for if we just focus on the fall market, median and average price trending down. 40 were sold, 10 of those, so 25% sold at list price or more. 1,077 are available for sale. So what we're saying is that 3.7% of all condo apartments available for sale in York Region actually sold, compared to Toronto where 3.1% actually sold. So York Region, as far as percentage of sales of what's available, slightly outperforming the city of Toronto. Months of inventory sitting at 6.2 months of inventory. Here's Peel Region. 27 condos were sold. No condo sold at $1 million or more. Average sold price, $518,000. If we go back to the beginning of the year, where the average price was in the high 500s, low 500s is where we are now. Price has come down since the beginning of the year. If we focus the summer to where we are now, kind of the bubble I put here, average price hasn't changed that much since the summer. Compared to last year, 518 is 13% lower. The median price of $494 is 11% lower. And I just finished saying the average sold price for the summer hasn't changed much from summer till now. Well, if we look at just September, and I'm looking at the 4-week moving average, so the fall market, it's actually up slightly since the beginning of September. 27 were sold, 4 of those, so 15% sold at list price or more. Active listings. Active listings are becoming fewer. There's 1,026 available condos for sale across Peel region, 2.6% sold. That's really low. 2.6% sold. If you recall, York region, we said 3.7. Toronto, it's 3.1% that sold. So Peel region, as far as condo sales, a percentage of available for sale, is the lowest of the 3 areas. Months of inventory for Peel region sitting at 8.8 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary of months of inventory. I do want to bring your attention to something. Normally, when we see the city of Toronto as a whole, and then I show the 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom months of inventory, you could kind of average those out to, oh, that's the city as a whole. In this case, 1-bed and 2-bed is lower. These two won't average out to the city of Toronto. For this specific week, the no bedrooms, the bachelors, the studios, and the 3 bedrooms, those condos have a months of inventory much higher, and that's how it averages out to 7.5. But overall, pretty much we're sitting in a buyer's market. It's not a buyer's market like we've seen earlier in the year where we would have 10 and 11 months of inventory. We're sitting at mid-7 and 6 months of inventory for York region. Peel region is higher at 8.8, but there were times in the year where 9 and 10 was kind of the norm. They're starting to come down now, the months of inventory. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.